Okay. So for the recording, just we're getting kicked off. It's March 26th, 2025. This is our working session. We're going to be talking about some of the website stuff. We've got some guests, so we're going to do a round of introductions really quick to get things kicked off. So I'll start just since I'm already talking. Wes, I have been on the Express technical committee for a few years now. And I work at Netflix on the Node.js platform team, but we don't really use Express in my day-to-day there. So the work here is really just to help the ecosystem and the project, especially after our revamp last year. So it's really exciting to be getting into 2025 with the project sort of thriving, I'd say. I don't want to, make it too big of a deal, but compared to 3 or 4 years ago, we're really, I think, thriving. So it's great to see. So thanks for everybody coming on. And Al, what we'll do is we'll just call out who we want to pass it to next. So I'm going to just go in order on my screen. Rand, you're next.
Yeah, hi, my name's Rand. I uh, uh, I got involved with Express when I was working at Strong Loop, sorry, many years ago. I was just trying to figure out exactly how many years ago it was. 10 or more, I don't know for sure. And I worked with a couple of other folks to create the current website, Express.js.com, starting with essentially just a README that TJ Holloway-Chuck created. And we created the documentation that we have now, such as it is. And with some sponsorship or help from IBM, we also had the content translated into something like 8 or 10 different languages. And then I've been involved to one degree or another since that time. And currently I work at Adobe, and where Express means something completely different. It's a product. It's an Adobe product, but it's unrelated, completely unrelated. Anyway, yeah, but I'm still involved with this project and would love to see it continue and improve.
Pick somebody to hand off to.
Oh, I'll pick somebody to hand off to. Okay, I don't know which direction we're going here. Who? Let's see. I'll just go to Ulysses, I guess.
Hey, hello everybody. I'm Ulises from Spain. I work at Node Source. I use Express a lot. So yeah, for many years, I joined the TC like 2 years ago with this effort to make Express moving forward a little bit. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here today and discuss a little bit about the website future and so on. So yeah, very happy with this. And I pass it to Chris.
Hey, hi, I'm Chris. I'm a programmer at IBM. Other than that, just involved in open source, open technology, various standards bodies and activities, as well as a security space. So, yeah. Let's see. John, did you go?
Nope. I'm John Church. I've been on the TC for almost a year, I guess. I've been involved in Express for a couple of years now. I was previously at Microsoft, currently unemployed, doing a sabbatical, just doing weird stuff and focusing on open source and not working, basically. I'm also a repo captain along with Rand and Sebastian on our docs website. I'm concerned mostly with our documentation content quality, more so than the design specifically. I just recently learned about what diataxis or something like that. It's a docs framework or way to look at documentation. But yeah, and I will call on I could do Sebastian, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to hear him well. But Sebastian, probably feel free to introduce yourself in chat. Sebastian's a Spanish speaker natively. Let's see if we can get him.
Kind of. Más o menos.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sebastian. I student in the university. I am student I keep in the website part and on the first of Next is Michaela Rivas.
Yeah, it was
pass
very,
it
very
off to,
difficult to understand you.
yeah, I think you passed it off to Michael, Michele. I don't know how to pronounce your name.
Michele, perfect. All right. Hi, I'm Michele. I've been an avid Express.js user during my days at Paramount. Back then, we were backing 250 streaming websites with a single Express.js instance on an EC2, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Like Comedy Central and many others, like MTV, all of them were there. So it was fun, and I co-founded Orama with a person that I guess Rand knows very well, which is Isaac from Strongloop, and I guess maybe Chris knows him as well. So I'm the original author of the Orama JS library, and now we've been doing some stuff that I'd like to show you later, and I'm passing over to Angela.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you, and thank you for having us here. I'm a designer, and I co-founded Orama together with Michael and Isaac. I'm working as a designer since the last 15 years, and yeah, I'm really hoping that we can work together and create something. Davide.
Okay, hi everybody, I'm Davide, the other designer of Orama, with some past experience in other companies. And yeah, I'm involved as in the evolution of the dashboard of Orama, and yeah, I'm really happy to know all of you in this meeting.
I think Jean might be. I was just scrolling through. Might be the.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
last,
Cool.
Yeah, last one. So Jean Virolier, I'm working from France and working for Sanofi, so healthcare company. Been using Express since a long time, a really long time, and working on Express for the past year-ish, I guess. Everything started with a bottle of wine in Spain, so yep.
Cool, that's intros. Who wants to facilitate? Basically, I guess for broad setting, like we wanted to have this conversation. Ulysses, I think it was his idea to have it in our working session, but to meet y'all. So background, as I understand it, is we've been talking in an issue about redesigning the site, which was something that Sebastian was pushing for, and some folks from Orama saw it and were like, "Hey, we can help with that." I know that y'all have also worked in the Node.js site in the past, recently, and I believe other things as well. But yeah, our website is janky and ugly, and Jekyll based is the technology right now. I've pushed back on like completely starting over from scratch on it because I was like, what is the goal of our redesign? Is it to switch technologies because nobody wants to work on Jekyll? Or is it, like what's motivating it, et cetera, et cetera. So part of it is maintenance burden, all that, but also part of it is the website it's been getting love from contributors. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see. I'm not a designer, I'm a software engineer. CSS scares me, but effectively, like I don't know if one of you guys wants to help facilitate the conversation or whatever. But yeah, Ulysses, do you have anything you want to jump in with? Wes has a hand.
I'll let Ulysses
We'll try to
go
use hands
first, but yeah, with hands.
Go ahead, Wes. Don't worry. I will go.
Well, I wanted to ask a question. So if you had sort of more preface statements, that could go first, or I could just ask my question. I could just ask my question. So John, you said that, and I remember reading one of the issues where we were going back and forth on is it to pick new technology, like what are our goals and stuff. So I think probably I would like to hear like what folks think the goals are before we go too far. So like that's my question is like, you said a couple there, but like is that the list? Like what other things are we concerned about? I have some ideas, but I don't want to, necessarily drive that. I'd rather hear.
If I could speak to that. So I think in the original issue, I think that Sebastian raised this, I sort of laid out different broad areas that we can use to organize the discussion. And there's visual design, information architecture, and sort of the navigation mechanism. And I'd also I think it's worthwhile to separate the discussion of the design and the implementation. So when you mention Jekyll, that's really the implementation, and that's what we're using now. And as Sebastian put in the chat, yeah, it's a love-hate relationship. I've been using Jekyll myself for many years, and it's basically, anyway, I think it's worthwhile maybe putting that aside for just for the moment. And it's definitely something we should discuss. And but it's a pretty big topic in and of itself, moving from Jekyll to some other um, static site generator, and we've had discussions around that, and I think have kind of come to the conclusion that we're going to hold off for the time being. I do think it's probably worthwhile, looking at other alternatives, but that's really orthogonal to the design itself. Like in designers, as far as in my experience, they're looking at more like what's the end result going to be, not how do we get there. So so yeah, the visual design is, the content, the display, the layout, the typography, and stuff like that. And then how it's done now is, we have this kind of these drop-down menus that are, yeah, they're not great. And, almost every documentation site out there uses some variation of a left-hand navigation. Sometimes it's a right hand, but there's usually like a set of topics on the left, and you click on that, and they may be expandable, and then that's how you navigate through the topics on the site. I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't see any reason to reinvent the wheel, but if the designers have other suggestions that end up being better, I'm certainly open to considering those. But the one thing I'd like to ask everybody is, like, we have this current look. It's this very sort of minimalist look that fits, I think, with the ethos of Express as a minimalist framework. I think maybe that's the idea behind it. It's very clean, and we have a certain typeface that we use. Do we want to keep that, or do we want to just throw it out and come up with something completely new? So I guess that would be my first question.
Cool. I saw two hands, but I'll assume that was taken down on purpose then. So Angela?
Yeah, so we prepare a little presentation for you to answer to this question. Maybe we can go through that and see if it cover everything, because we will also talk about branding and design system and everything. So
Yeah.
let me show. I don't know, Michele, if it was the same, because I saw then
It was exactly the same, and I figured when I saw your hand, yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. I try to go full screen.
Yep, it works. We got it.
Okay. So this is the little kickoff presentation for you. The goal is to be everyone aligned on the vision of the Express documentation redesign by evaluating the current structure and decide if we want to what we want to change, what we want to improve, if the visual, the search, also the navigation and the information architecture. So it's not working. Okay. The output by the end of this session, what we want is to have a defined clear priorities if we decide to work together, and define the next step for the redesign process and also the search feature. So together we're going to decide what a redesign means and if we want to implement also the search, Orama search. So the topics are UX UI design, search and AI chat, and we also wanted to show you Orama 4.0, the evolution of our chat. So about UX and UI, what do we mean? It means that we can help you recreate, redesign the layout as you were saying, Rand. We can move the menu, now is on the top. We can move it on the right, left, and we can either help you select a layout from DocuSaurus or from FumoDocs, from whatever you want to use, or design one for you, a doc. We can also, if needed, not saying this because we think that you need, but just because maybe you need it, help you with the brand identity, maybe reviewing the logo or yeah. Then also the design system, it means typefaces, colors, buttons. We can create a design system for you that you can simply use it, install and copy on the layout that you will select. And also with the information architecture. With the information architecture, it means the navigation is a bit tricky because we are not the owner of the knowledge there. You are, but we can help you having a workshop together and quickly define a new architecture. Maybe we want to stop on this slide for a bit and discuss it. What do you think we can do for you? Is there any?
I guess I'll answer first. I don't know if anybody else wants to, but I'll just say that sounds great. Thank you very much for the offer of help. I think this could be very useful. Certainly the layout, the design, and the brand, those first three things there, I think absolutely we would, I personally would love to get, your help with and your input. The information architecture is a little bit more complicated, I would say, just because, as you say, it really depends on the content of the information, but we can certainly put it in there. I would suggest maybe that it takes it's a second tier thing, in my opinion. It's extremely important, don't get me wrong. It's just it's a little bit it's something that I probably would separate from the visual design myself. And then the only other thing, my only other comment is, yeah, for the layout, I'm not sure how the Docusaurus, that's more of an implementation mechanism. It's a static site generator. And we might or might not decide to move to it. So I would sort of take that out of the equation, in my opinion.
John, I think your hand's next.
Yeah, just to say yes, basically. Same thing, Rand, to echo what Rand said, basically. Layout design, brand identity. So on brand identity, we have a parallel process going to like try to get a new logo, basically. So we'll see what that looks like, essentially. See what happens with it. I'll drop a link to the repo where we've requested somebody make something, which is super cute. But yeah, and again, information architecture, I agree with Rand, but also like, the principles, I think, for that would be useful for us. I think we have some ideas for what we want to do. Our docs still need to be dusted off, cleaned up, all that stuff. But also, yeah, I like everything you're proposing. So
Cool.
Yeah, I agree. I raised my hand when John mentioned the other logo discussion. I have not followed up, so please tell me if I am missing some info here, but I thought the last status of that was that we were asking it for individual release lines, not the overall branding of the project. And so the idea, okay, I see at least one green check there from Ulysses. So the idea there, just so we're all on the same page, was we had done a little, fun thing. Jean and I literally just had a dinner one night and thought it looked fun. It was this little train logo. We were thinking of maybe paying through Fiverr, was our original idea, a little bit of money to get that logo converted into something that, we actually have some IP. We'd pay for it. And oh, is this okay? So John, maybe you do have some update, because I think also wasn't somebody else was going to go talk to
on brand identity. We can move on from this. I think it's basically just that, like, we're likely to change or mess with our logo in some way, but we don't have that for you guys right now. Basically, that's kind of my TLDR on it.
Okay, cool. And that what I mainly wanted to make sure we were understanding is when we talk about brand identity, like, things are definitely on the table there. I think everybody agreed, like, it is minimal, but it is probably dated. So if there's some discussion to be had there, I think we're willing to do it, but that is technically separate from the original issue where we discussed a new logo, which is, the idea was to just have logos per major line, because the project stagnated for a long time. So we thought it'd be nice to have a specific branding around the V5, which we're going to go latest with very soon. And so we just thought that might be fun. So that is, in theory, a separate discussion, even if we decide to tackle the brand identity now. Which again, I think it's on the table. I'm not trying to say that. I just want to make sure we don't like confuse all the issues because there's a lot of them. So cool.
So just to be clear, the next step for the brand identity, do we want us to start something? Should we wait?
This I don't want to take too much time here unless so I would love a refresh personally. I don't know how the rest of the folks on the project feel. I saw a couple nodding heads.
Okay.
But I can't see everybody's on my one screen because I got the slides up. But how do folks feel? Should we, I'd be happy to say, yes, let's do that. But okay. Yeah, we got hands now.
Sorry, I have to stop share for a second.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
One very quick thing on our hand. Of course, like I want to make clear, like we don't want to push anything. Like you're very free to say, hey, we already have processes in places. And another thing I'd like to make clear is that whatever you see here, it's part of an open source contribution on our side. So also like if you need help on the brand identity, if you need help on the design system, like with proper components and tokens, etc., like everything that we discussed as Orama, that's our contribution to Express.js. And I want to make sure that like this is clear. Like that's not a sales pitch. That's what I mean. I just wanted to make this explicit.
We can also start creating some brand identity draft, and then you decide whether if you want to continue or not. No problem at all.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify, like I'm not a marketing person or a branding expert. So when you say brand identity, I'm assuming that means a logo. It means typography, typefaces. It means, I guess, colors and color schemes. Is that what else? I mean, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, also tone of voice. I mean, the brand usually it's a very complex that
Yeah.
has a lot of thing inside. For your brand, we were thinking like the logo, the colors, the tone of voice, the application of the logo in every touch point.
Yeah.
Of course, then we can expand and having together a workshop because normally a branding starts with a workshop with everyone, but I think that we can just to be faster and we can propose you something and then rework on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that sounds, it seems like everybody's on board with that. And my experience in, the corporate world is there's these, I forget what they're called, but it's basically a document that lays out the standard, the brand identity standards or something like that. And then you sort of follow that as your like style guide, as it were. So I'm assuming you're proposing to prepare something like that or something similar to that.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah. So Wes, do we need to take a vote of the TC to sort of, or
There's
just,
two. I mean, there's two other folks who had their hands up, and maybe then if nobody disagrees, I don't see any reason to. We definitely probably don't need to vote. I mean, if anybody objects, but yeah, Chris, maybe, and then Ulysses. Oh, you put your hand down. Well, anyway, we can do the hands and then see if anybody's opposed.
Yeah, Rand, the term you were looking for, I think you did say is brand guidelines.
Yeah.
The only thing that I wanted to mention here, and I've said it before in previous discussions about the logo specifically, is that if we're going with a wholesale new logo, we should be very careful and deliberate about that. I know that most people are probably not in love with the existing Express logo, but it's been around for a long time. It does have a level of brand recognition, and there are many examples in the history of marketing where logo redesigns have been catastrophic, and have not had the positive effect and had quite the negative effect. we're not talking about, this isn't like a brand of soft drink in the supermarket. I realize the stakes are different here, but it's just something to keep in mind. And we want to make sure if we are doing like a new logo, that we don't have like a marketing team here of people to do user research and all this kind of thing that could impact the decision that we take there. So I'm a little bit cautious about it. And yeah, that's it. Ulysses?
Yeah, I would love to say, like, independently of the logo itself, we have some branding issues as well. Like, for example, we don't have a tone defined colors. I mean, all of these things are like non-existing right now. So even if we don't literally change the logo and we keep the one that we have today, which might be the consensus, we still need like a vector version of that might work properly, in all the sizes. I mean, basic work like that. I mean, we have a logo like a PNG, and good luck with that, right? So basically, all of this work around the brand is still to be a thing going on independently of the logo. And I think based on the consensus on previous TC calls, the agreement also is to go with like specific logos per major, like the one that we mentioned for the train. But that's something like we do separately, and probably it's not like the official image. It's something that we do ad hoc and for fun mostly, and t-shirts, and I survived to Express 5 and stuff like that, but not the official brand that we want to. So yeah, that's in a sense. I also agree that we have like Express logo, with maybe not the most fancy logo in the JavaScript universe, because actually there is a high level there. But yeah, I think we can keep this identity because we have that associated to us already. So yeah, that might be the consensus in general, my feeling.
Yeah, I'll just jump in and say same thing Ulysses said basically, but like I think we just engineer brained this idea, which is that brand identity means logo. But Ulysses is correct. We currently do not have a clear idea of our voice or tone. We don't have any brand identity stuff whatsoever. So yes, I believe that is something we would love to have input on, regardless of logo, whatever we do. But point being, yeah, that would be great because we clearly don't have a handle on that tone idea at all. So.
If you agree, it means
okay, go ahead. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to propose you, maybe we can have a meeting where we have a very quick workshop about the brand identity, and at the end we can understand if you want to create a new logo or you want just to keep the same, but we can at the end create a brand guideline defining the tone of voice. Okay, I will.
Okay, yeah, so I had only raised my hand to be the stop on the like time check so that we make sure we don't spend too much time. But it sounds like I was gonna ask what our next step. So it sounds like that's the next step. And the note, John, by the way, if you're still doing the notes, the takeaway here would be we are leaning toward keeping the current logo, but we would love to do no question the rest of the brand identity that is a completely missing piece for now. Did I get that like synopsis correct? And it's not saying we're not doing the logo. We're just saying we generally are a little hesitant. So we would probably want to, like in that session, Angela, that you mentioned, we would want to discuss like what would be the pros and cons of logo change alongside. Okay, so we're good on next steps there. And we can move on. Sweet.
Michele, if you want to start from here.
Yeah. So probably may I share my screen? I'll take just 2 minutes. I promise, no more than that. Just to let me see if I can share my screen entirely. So you may have seen like Orama on the Node.js website on Tanstack. It's powering a few websites, and it's full text search like install plus vector search, etc. Okay, that's cheating. That's cached, but like you get this kind of experience. You always have control over what's get proposed, and you have ways to determine if what you answer to people it's correct, and you have ways to correct if it's not. So the reason why we've been tagged in the first issue for Express.js was because someone asked for Node.js style search, but for Express. So I'd like to take just a couple of minutes to show you what we can do. So basically the very basis one is the one you just saw on the Node.js website, and you might see it on other websites as well. But we actually have improved and created new kind of experiences that we would love to co-develop with you. So if we go into workshops with Angela and Davide, I think that's where we can make things a little bit crazier in a good way, I guess. So again, that's not a redesign. Of course, that's like a white label where we are thinking that the new kind of documentations, for example, will work just like browser tabs. So you can create chats and ask questions other than searching for stuff. You might have different levels of expertise because a user might not be an expert like all of you, but might be someone that is just getting started. So the kind of explanation you want to give might be a little bit different. And then this is what Orama does. And it summarizes everything and gives you suggested next steps, history and bookmarks, etc. Of course, you also have other ways to, make the documentation a bit more effective, maybe for people. So it might be, for example, I might want to, highlight and then ask specific questions regarding what has been highlighted. And that's all I wanted to share. And I want also, that's the basic idea of what Orama is able to do, and that's what we would like to maybe co-develop again and co-design with you, if that's something that may interest you, because I feel like Express.js may deserve a new kind of browsing experience. I also want to mention it's all based on open source software, so everything you saw is part of Orama Core, which is something we've been using in production, and it's all open source. You can self-host it, and if you have any concern regarding like where does this data go, etc., we can help you self-host this, and we can also help with with the expenses eventually on self-hosting this inside the OpenJS infra if you'd like. So we have expertise to set up the machines and the distributed systems so that all around the world the experience is consistent in terms of performances. So that's up to you to decide if you want. Otherwise, we can host it for you. And I just wanted to make sure that you know that again, it's all open source, it's all open. You can basically do whatever you want with it. So that's all I wanted to share. I didn't want to take too much time from you.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that looks very cool. So to be clear, this does require some kind of a back end running, right? That's what
Yes.
yeah. And I think it's probably fine. It's, right now it's what we have, it just runs, it's, basically free. It's, running on the GitHub pages. And so that would be a little bit of a step beyond that, but so that would be something for the TC to discuss, but I don't know that it's an issue really, but it's just consideration.
Yeah, I think that's definitely not something we should be opposed to. I don't think it would definitely just be a little bit of a change. So we need to think a little bit through, like, first the self-hosting options would, is that even the best way? Like, this is stuff we definitely want to discuss with y'all before making any decisions.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then I have sort of the general question on that, but I don't know how much time we want to spend on it, of like, how did the training work for that? So like, are we, the code is open source, but I personally care a little bit about how, these models get trained and whether or not they're using data that was correctly attributed and all that stuff. But again, I don't want to necessarily take too much time on that, because I think it's
I can answer in just one question. I'm sorry. Sorry, Ulysses. So we use open source models. So we use either Qwen or Llama or open source models. If you self-host, you actually decide. Orama Core also generates the embeddings and everything offline. So 100% of what you see is getting trained and generated offline at index time. So it's like pushing data to Algolia or Elasticsearch, but instead of just indexing for full text search, we do everything else. automatically for you. We also integrated Dino as a runtime inside of Orama core, so you can also create custom business logic in JavaScript. If you use like CoachDB, for example, map reduce in JavaScript inside of a database, think of that at like on steroids. You can really script all the logics on the answers, etc., in plain JavaScript or TypeScript, which is pretty cool, I think. So it's all offline, 100%, and that's how the data gets ingested and trained.
Cool. And then my only other last question there was, when we're thinking about these kind of things, my usual like go-to from like an architectural standpoint is to try and decouple them a little bit. So like if we're going to add a backend, that's a point of failure that we haven't had in the past. Ideally, nothing we add to the website would block a user from accessing the information if our group of volunteers who is now running a backend cannot immediately, drop everything to fix the backend. I assume, especially based on what you showed there, that's probably the way it would work almost naturally. But I just wanted to make sure I asked that.
Yeah.
Like, anything there would we'd presumably keep the, all the regular content, and then if like the backend were to go down, whether we're self-hosting or not, it'd be like the additional select options aren't there, and then maybe the tab thing they showed, like that would just sort of disappear until we were back up, right? Okay.
I should probably mention, you can choose your documentation tool, like it can be Docusaurus, it can be Fumadocs, etc. So it's all statically generated, so that's here, and no one is taking that down. So it might happen, it happens that maybe search fails because there is a problem on our side. If you decide to self-host, we can also give you support on the DevOps side for maintaining everything. Also consider it's a distributed system, so we have redundancy of data into different regions. If one node fails, you get it's gonna be a bit slower, but you get redirected to another node. So we should have everything in place to support your use case, as we do again with Node and all the other big websites. You have our support anyway, like if shit happens, yeah.
I wanted to thank you because I mean the demo was mind blowing. Honestly, it's like yeah, we are from the underground to the moon with this demo. I mean,
Thank you,
yeah, the
Ulysses.
situation of the website is not the best in the world, but this is like yeah, 21st century experience 100%. So that's fantastic. So thank you for that. Also, just worth mentioning, like especially for the TC members, that we have some resources from the foundation that we can ask for. The same as we are asking now for a benchmarking server for running benchmark. We can ask for hosting databases, self-hosting stuff, and so on. So in that sense, we have some the back cover in that. So yeah, we don't have to worry that much and just choose the option that better fits for us and later on discuss on this. But yeah, not a major blocker for us to discuss.
I just wanted to jump in to say I'm +1 on using Orama chat or search to try it out. This is what I worked on at Microsoft. I worked on AI chatbots and stuff like that. So like I understood everything you said about the embeddings and stuff like that and the models and hosting, et cetera. So like point being is like if we can discuss all this stuff as TC individually or whatever, but like I'm up to speed on that stuff. So like sounds good. I think it's good to try it. I think Wes called out a good what's the failure mode thing basically. But point is like, yeah, I'm super down to try it. It looks good. But yeah, we're in the interest of time, I'll put my hand down.
Yeah, also, of course, again, I don't want to take too much time. So if you want to have a separate session where you ask, deeply technical questions, I'd be very glad to answer because I do understand that you might have, and like it's healthy for you to have these kind of questions. And I'd be glad to help you understand also how like the Orama architecture works. What are the kind of dependencies that could cause trouble if there's any. So that you're aware, we are aware, and we can give the kind of support that you need.
Cool. So I'd just love to propose the next step for this would be probably after we go through the branding discussion, right? Okay, just making sure that was timeline correct. Okay. And then so we would then probably do another sync. We could maybe even also just do some asynchronous conversation around this. We could use like the Slack in OpenJS or something too, if we wanted in the meantime, just to keep those, the ball rolling there. Is there anything else next step that we need to take into account for that part of it? Sounds like no. Cool. Okay. Do we want to go back to the presentation? How much?
We are done.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. This is great. Also coming very prepared and nailed it. So good. Yeah, good. Thank you, John. I was literally going to say, who wants to, what other stuff do we have here?
Oh yeah, I was probably going to echo what Wes was going to say, which is, so what do you guys think is next steps for this in terms of working together to come up with a new look and feel for the site? Is it brand identity workshop first? Is it, what?
I think we can, if it's okay for you, we can start with the workshop. And during the workshop, maybe we can also define the next step for the layout, how we want to continue working on that. We just need to decide a day for the workshop.
So yeah, that's specifically the identity workshop, right?
Yeah,
cool.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So we have regularly scheduled meetings like this we could use. I saw some other head nods. So I mean, that to me seems easiest. Let's see, they're kind of far apart though. If we take up a bunch of them, it would mean we'd have no time for the other, because we have to get this latest release out.
Our next working session is 2 weeks from now. So like, do you guys think you could meet next week? Like assuming the group wants to do that, but like I do think forking this out of our working sessions and stuff would make sense, unless we think, we want everybody on the TC to join or whatever. But scheduling, as you guys know, is always a nightmare. So we won't get, if we can get this group again or some subset of this group again, I think that's enough to move forward on a brand identity workshop.
Yeah, it seems like forking it off is the best idea. Yeah, maybe Monday for that. I mean, I was hoping to get that work done like tomorrow morning though, but I guess maybe we'd want to wait on the release anyway till Monday. It's never good to release on a Friday. And especially since we're going latest, that's kind of
So let's say this real quick. Just so we don't have a meeting next Wednesday. We have a meeting on Monday. So do folks want to do this again this time next week on Monday?
Oh no, sorry. We were trying to, that Ulysses was saying there, can we use Monday for the V5 release? So I think that's sort of time sensitive. So I don't think we can double commit.
No, I'm saying like to have a brand identity workshop, could we schedule it as soon as a week from today?
Oh, Wednesday. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay. So you're saying Wednesday,
yeah.
The 3rd of
yeah, that's the second. Geez, how's that possible?
I know, right?
Yeah, April 2nd. Our next official TC meeting is Monday. That's the context we're talking about. But yeah,
I'm just gonna venture a guess here. I don't think we should do this next week if we're releasing V5 latest on Monday. Not because of anybody else's stuff. I think we will be possibly overcommitting ourselves already doing that release. Also, yeah, so okay. By the way, should we just stop the recording since the presentation is done and we're sort of just talking logistics? We probably don't need that recorded. Is everybody good if I just kill that? Okay.